and welcome to another live demonstration. Today I want to introduce you to oil pastels. So a lot of people get confused about what oil pastels are. They're different to the soft pastels. The soft pastels are a dry pastel that go on, create dust, and you can blend and smudge. These are an oil pastel, not to be mistaken for oil bars. Oil bars are something different. These are made from a non-drying oil, so they don't actually truly dry, and I'll talk about how we can deal with that later. And they come in different qualities, so you can get student qualities, which are great fun for playing with, mixed media, right up to these lovely artist quality, which put the pigment down really quickly. So I just want to show you, we were trying to work out what to say the consistency is like, and I think we came up with a very creamy lipstick. So oil pastel, you can just see on here how well they go down. Now I've been thinking about what surfaces they will go on, because apparently they can go on almost everything, wood, paper. I was concerned about them going on paper because I know if you put oil paints on paper, watercolour paper, the oil leaches out. I put this on earlier last week and there's no leaching. I'm not sure about how archival it will be for the future, but there doesn't seem to be any oil problems, so that's always good. I even put it on some really inexpensive copy paper, and you can see there how versatile they are because there's no ill effects at all. It works really nicely. So oil pastel, so what can I do with it? You can put it on like this and you can see it's picking up the texture of the paper. As always, I quite like texture. You can blend it and move it and soften it. And I'm using a colour shaper. You can use a stump. It's whatever you have on hand if you want to be able to create soft layers. You can scrape back into it. I don't know if it's thick enough for me to scrape back at the moment, or it might not. It might have stuck to this paper a little bit too much, but I can try scraping when I do it onto canvas. But you can see you can get some sgraffito in there, or this is low odor thinner. I've just decanted it into one of these lovely glass jars, and then you can use a brush or anything you want to move it. So you do need a thinner, like you would an oil paint, to be able to move and manipulate the pigment, the medium you've put on the surface. So lots of different ways to work with it. You can layer really well, and I'll show you in the demonstration how well you can layer. Let me just clean this brush. Layer the pastels. There is also, this one I was showing you is actually clear, and again this can be used on top just to help blend the pastel to a much smoother finish. What I do need to do is keep cleaning things because they will contaminate the next colour. So just using a brand of baby white just so I can clean off this clear pastel and my hands, because I will. You saw me use tools there because I want to introduce them to you, but to be honest, I much prefer to get my hands dirty, and I will be doing the painting and I will be using my fingers. Like I said, it doesn't actually dry. This is quite, fingers, I couldn't help myself. It will move, and it will be like this for a long time. It will stay that sticky, so you need to protect it from the environment. It will harden over time and get less sticky, but it's not fully drying. So I've done in the past, I've put it behind glass, or what I have done is I've tried this varnish, which is specifically for oil pastels. I've had mixed reviews about varnishing the pastel, so I thought I'd try it myself and see how effective it is. I can say it's definitely worth doing it because it does take off a lot of the stickiness. So this has got no spray on at all, and you can see there how movable it is. So I've done one layer. And it's movable, and you can see it is actually taking the layer of varnish off. So with any varnish, you need more than one layer anyway. So now I'm going on to 2 layers. It's still just taking it back off again. 3 layers, now 3 layers, and like it's recommended on the product, 3 layers, use 3 layers. And I'm pushing it just the same, trying to rub it off, and that really is now starting to stick. I put 4 layers on this end, and you can see there, it is starting to work. So it's taking that stickiness out, preventing it from blending, but lots of fine, thin layers, and allowing them to dry in between. So, you know, do it overnight, let it dry, come back to it the next day. Don't rush the process, because you've done all the work on the painting. You don't want to then have difficulties afterwards because you've not used the varnish correctly. So this is the Sennelier Oil Pastel Fixative, which alongside the Sennelier Artist Quality Oil Pastels I'll be doing a demonstration with. So I think that's all for now, because we'll take a short break and then I'll go on and I'll do a demonstration. As I'm doing a demonstration, I have a few factoids, and I'll also talk about the product when I think about it. So join me in a few moments.
Let us bring out the artist in you. If you'd like to learn how to paint or improve your painting, the SAA is here to inform, encourage, and inspire you every step of the way. When you become an SAA member, you get so many benefits, including the free bi-monthly newsletter Paint, packed with inspiring step-by-step projects, fascinating articles, and detailed information to get your creative juices flowing. Discounts on over 13,000 art products featured on the SAA website and in the Home Shop catalogue, with free order line and free delivery in the UK mainland. A devoted SAA team on hand to answer your questions and give you the confidence and motivation you need to start painting and develop at a pace that suits you. Plus, a free welcome pack filled with gifts and practical help to get you started, as well as the opportunity to make friends with like-minded people.
Best thing to be a member is the inspiration for the magazines, to be able to purchase things at a very reasonable price.
Yeah, you get the reduction on all the materials, the advice you get.
I can shop from home.
It's a community.
It seemed like a very friendly sort of organisation.
If somebody's thinking of joining, don't spend too long thinking. Just join. They'll love it.
And we're back.
Hello and welcome back. So I'm looking forward to this because I really enjoyed doing it when I planned it out. So this is a polar bear from one of my own pictures, but from Yorkshire Wildlife Park. And it's just a really nice composition. So I'm going to start with, I think this is an ochre, looks like an ochre colour. I can't see it quickly on here, but let's get started. I'm just going to put down very roughly colour, because I know I can layer, and I know I'm going to manipulate it a little bit more anyway.
Mind your left hand, please.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I was warned about my left hand. It's because you're like that and you're resting and you're leaning on it. Okay, Gary, yes, I will keep my left hand out of shot.
People need to see what you're doing, Anita.
Okay, so as you can see, I am just putting colour down, not really worrying about, I'm looking at where it's going, but I'm not overly concerned. And you can see how you can blend and move it around. But I don't need to do that just at the moment. What I want to do is use the really dark brown I've got. Now, I'm looking at factoids for the bear, and I find out that polar bears have black skin. So underneath their, what looks like white fur, again, I've got another factoid about that, their skin is black, and that helps to absorb any warmth from the sun. And their hair is made from clear, hollow fibred hair, again perfect for the conditions that they live in. But I was really interested to learn about their black skin So just using a really dark colour is actually not only looking at the shadow, but is really relevant as an underlayer for the bear, because this is actually the true colour under the skin. And if you're doing portraits, the same thing is the colour of the skin underneath is important as a base layer, because that will give you the layer to start building up and get a much more true representative of a skin colour. Okay, so it still looks a little muddy. It will all come together. I'm not really concerned at the moment. It's just putting colour on. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with my finger and start to blend some of these colours. I am thinking about the direction I'm going to put the blend, because it's just as important to be able to put the, if you blend in the direction of the hair, you've done half the job for yourself. I'm just softening. I know I can go back over it and I can bring out more texture again, but as an underlayer, I'm using it just to think about where I'm putting colour, as basically an undercolour. So he has a bit, they have a little stubby tail. So again, it's what I call plotting. I'm plotting and thinking about, you know, where my dark tones and light tones are, as well as putting colour on. But people can't, I can see the image I'm using, but people won't be aware of the original image I'm using. So I've got that artistic license to be able to do what I feel looks right. That's lovely, isn't it? A lovely, it's softening and making him a lot softer. I'm not going too far in there because I want the white to stand out and not get over contaminated. But I just love this lovely softness that you can get by blending right into the head. So the head in this picture is quite dark, and I do want to represent that. And I can go back in, and I'm going to use black. Well, they wouldn't put it in sets if you weren't to use it, and to be honest, I can't see a problem using it. The skin on a polar bear is black. You've got a black pastel, so why not use it? What I'm going to do is just remind me where the eye is and the nose, just for now. And then I can, and the mouth actually, because the mouth's open. So what I'm going to do is put the white on, and then I will probably think about the darker tones, because I can keep manipulating it. So I'm just cleaning off using a wet wipe, because it is a little contaminated already, and I want to keep this white, so I'm working downwards. So this is the clean area, and it is going to blend into and over, but for the minute I just want to really control about what I'm blending. And this, as I catch some of the other colour, I can push it into, there you go, that's lovely. So they're not completely white. They do have, especially the ones that I saw at the wildlife park, they were quite brown and muddy, but I think they've been playing in the mud. So now, that's quite dark, so he's got it's white across here. So again, looking at the textures and the tones, but you can see how you can pick up texture and pick up fur and create fur-like qualities. And it's only really at the end I'll really have a double look at the light and dark, and just to double check that I've got the light qualities that I'm looking for. So this side is where the light is hitting, so I'm going to concentrate. Clean. If I can put a really clean area around the edge, then I'm going to have a much more dramatic white. Pushing it in. Like I say, I like to use my fingers And now I can start to think about the hair. Putting it on quite gently and just thinking about the hair direction. I'll use the end because it's a little sharper. So add in different textures, the soft under texture as well as the actual fur-like texture. It's actually, you can see there it's scraping back into the quite thick pastel. So creating a sgraffito kind of texture, unintentionally, but it doesn't matter for this. I just want it to. Okay, so his fur here is a lot whiter coming across. It's going to be quite easy to overwork, but I'm not going to use too many colours. I think you get overwhelmed with colour. Clean that. Sometimes you don't need it. And I like a very sketchy feel. So start to look at here because the light is hitting the back of the leg. Dark on here. So I need to just make sure, because the light's coming this way, this is obviously where the dark light is hitting, and I've left it a little bit too light. Mix it with some yellow. So I can use the yellow to bring back some texture as well. Now I'm going to use the white to just add a little bit more so it's not quite as flat. Not making it white, just indicating the fur direction. It is catching some light there. I just need to stand back because I need to see. So not all the fur is that way, so I now need to change direction a little bit just to give it a little bit more of a realistic feel. Okay, so just catching the nose here. I'm going to soften. What I might do is I might use the blender because I can have a little bit more control on the face. I'm going to have to do it quite softly because I don't want to scrape it off. So you can see there, having a little bit more control using the tortillon than I have with my finger. Darker brown. Lost the ear, so I've got to think about where it goes back in, just there. And it's all come together very quickly. That's the beauty about these pastels, they are very quick. Catching the top of the light, an ear. And I can continue to keep building. So now with the unmentionable black, just bringing out some of the dark tones, because the darker your dark tones are, the lighter your lights are going to be. So yes, I'm using black. But like I say, I feel quite justified using it because the skin of the bear is black. What I might do as well is use some blue, just to add a little bit of colour that's not black. Right under here, it's picked up some quite dark. Stand away. I think I'll need to come in with a little bit more light. And I do that by, I need to stand away because the glare of the lights is making it quite flat. Can't always see what colours I need. And I'm working quite quickly. So up here, I can see that the shadow needs to come a put some blue into the face so it's not isolated. Don't know if you can see this leg behind. So one little, no, what I might do is I'll do the background and then I might finish off because I can see where I may need to add some more light, so I could probably on the face. So background, just using a couple of blues. I'm just going to push it all on. You can see how quickly you do get through the pastels because they're so soft. But you can also move the pigment on the page. Push it up, use my finger. I think it was a bit dirty beforehand. So I just like to feel the texture. I'm just going to add some different blue. I know in my picture they're in the green, but I love the blue. I think it works with the browns and the colours in the bear. So it's quite brown. Like I say, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to take some of that brown back. So there, the brown is contaminating the blue. Not overly worried because I can go back in, add more pigment and cover it. Okay. Push it in. I'm tending to jump around a little bit. Another factoid, I discovered that the word for Arctic is a Greek word meaning bear. So the word Antarctic means without bear. So I would find that quite fascinating as well. What else did I learn about polar bears that I've not already said? They're the biggest land carnivore, and they can smell their prey up to 1 kilometre away. They're very good swimmers, and they use their front paws to propel themselves forward, and their back legs are used much more as rudders.
And why don't they eat penguins?
Because they're in the Antarctic.
Because they can't get the wrappers on.
Oh, because they can't get the wrapper. Gary, you could have warned me you were throwing in a joke.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, their main meal is actually seals, but they will eat anything from bird eggs to anything. They can get berries because they're not always in the ice. It's a preferred environment, but the ice does recede and they will have moments on, a tundra where it's got berries and grasses. So they're quite have to adapt to their environment as well. Can't get the wrappers off. That's just can't believe I fell for that one. Okay, so just really pushing and moving. It's just lovely. And as always, I'm just going to leave it soft at the edges. I'm not going to do a finished edge and all the way across. I like to see and feel and touch and make it look like it's a drawing, it's a picture, and see the way it's grown together. This is quite difficult because I'm contaminating the colour underneath, but I can sort that out by going back over it. Let me push it in because what I want is it. Okay. Just going to take off because I'm not going to be able to put clean blue back in there. Might use tortillon. So I'm just scraping it back off because I won't be able to put clean blue back on here. But you can see, I need to take this off. I just can't see the edging to take it off. Okay, got it. There we go. That was easier than I thought. So it's the texture's very much like a soft lipstick. It's really soft. And you can see it's how easy it is to reapply and relayer. Soft, get the feet on as well. Use it this time too. Move it because the ground is going to not just be blue. Right, let's work on finishing off this side. What I'm going to do, like I said, is go back in. I'm just going to leave that soft, not completely blended. Might use some of the darker blue in the background here. I'm just constantly thinking and deciding what more I need to do. That's another great thing I was thinking about when I was using this is, you know, you're always telling yourself, don't faff, don't fiddle. Well, it's true, and a lot of mediums, you have to be really careful about it because you can't go back. You know, watercolour, you just cannot go back if you faff, and you can lose the lovely qualities you did have, and you're just not able to get those again. But with this, I find that you can do a bit of faffing, but it's not a bad thing because you can keep going back over, and actually it works with extra layering. So I'm just bringing out some more dark tones because, like I say, the darker your darks, the lighter your lights are. I'm just looking at where it is dark on this. And I don't know if you can see, but just adding those extra few darks really help. Just into the face. Right, last bit, so no more faffing, is, can't find my white going. That's it. Just to finish off and bring a little bit more light back into this bear, because it is a polar bear, so it has a lot more light qualities than I have. Also make sure the bear fits into the background and it's not just floating. Shape, bit of blue. Use shape around the head. So you can see how you can faff. I can reshape and reapply. Okay. So his eye there, and he has a bit of light touching. I think I was trying to work out which one of the polar bears at the zoo it is. I couldn't remember. A bit more black for his eye and the nose. So this side is floating, so now I can just attach him to the ground a little bit using the white. Like I say, he is a polar bear. I need to think about his colour. So it's quite difficult because I'm thinking of lights and darks, which I'm getting. I've also got to remember he actually is a light coloured bear. Right, this side, a lot more white. So you can see how much faffing I'm actually doing. I am able to keep reapplying and going back over until I'm happy. I'm probably getting there now. Just want to really just show the direction of the light much more clearly than I have done. Stand back. Okay, so just making sure he's grounded by adding dark underneath and a bit of colour so it's not all just blue because it's quite dirty. No, it's bothering me, and I've just realised this is where you need to walk away. You do need to walk away sometimes and then come back. Like I said, I can't always see as well in this light. That's it. I think that's it for now. I think you can see how easy it is to work with these pastels, to rework with these pastels, and how many different applications you can have. You can use them in mixed media, and how nicely that they go on. So I think it's a misunderstood product, or people have heard about it but don't know how it works or don't understand it. The issue with this now is that it doesn't completely dry. So I will either frame it, or like we proved earlier in the demonstration, this fixative does work. So if I'm just storing it on the canvas, I will spray it with the fixative in order to protect it from dust, because they will be attracted to the very sticky nature of this medium. So I hope you enjoyed that, and join me later in the week for another live demonstration.